What's up, everybody? Welcome back. So, buckle up because it's about to be story time. I got a story for you, and it's about me. It's a story where a few nights ago I was laying in bed and I couldn't sleep. I was tossing, I was turning, and I was like, I wish I was asleep, but I was not. And I started thinking about games, and I said, you know what I'm curious about? Like, what are some really underrated games? What games are out there that are just truly slept on? So, as I couldn't sleep, I wanted to know what games are slept on. And so, even though I'm not supposed to grab the phone in your bed, it's the light's not good for your sleep, but hey, I did it anyways, and I just started Googling, hey, what are underrated games? And I found list after list after list after list of games that are just underrated or hidden gems, things like that. And they were all over the place. I was like, this is just chaos. This is random. I could pick any of these lists and they're almost completely different. There needs to be a comprehensive, undeniable, foolproof underrated list. And so, you know what I said to myself? I said, self, let's create that list. Let's let's go into the old think tank, the old noodle, and do what is called a content and sentiment analysis to figure out. That's right. I said content and sentiment analysis to figure out the most comprehensive, undeniable, unquestionable, perfect underrated list. And that's what we got here today. And it's not my opinion, it's the world's opinion. Because when you're doing a content analysis, that means you're taking everything that's out there, all the fruit from all the different trees, and you're putting it into one little juice. And that's the juice, that's the ultimate juice. How do I do that? You start with content. So, what content is out there? It's a bunch of articles, it's a bunch of message boards. And so let's merge the two together in perfect harmony and let's create underrated list, an underrated score, a slept on score. And so I said, all right, I can do this. So, first things first, you got to get that content. You got to get all the articles that are all about things like underrated games, hidden gems, low sales, high reviews. You pull them, you pull that information and you put it into a database. And so you say, okay, these are all the articles and these are all their scores and all their rankings. But that's not all. That's just people's articles. There's also public opinion, right? Engagement. What's going on with the people? The people. That's what we care about. So I went on the message boards. I went on Reddit. I went on different message boards and said, I want to pull comments and posts that are saying what are underrated games, and I want to add those to the list. So let's merge the two together and let's create the comprehensive list. So what's the first thing you do? Let's talk about the articles. So a lot of these articles have scores, or I mean rankings to begin with. So what do? You look at all the articles and you look at the ones that have rankings, because if it's just a random list, it's just a random list. I don't know if they mean it's sort of underrated or super underrated. So I threw those in the trash. Whoosh, get out of here. I only want the ones where they rank top 10 underrated games, top 5 underrated games, 100 underrated games, whatever it is. And I created a score with those. If it's a top 10 list, the number 1 game gets a 1 and the number 10 game gets a point 0.1. So that's how it would work. And that will factor into our bigger score later. I know, it's crazy. You also need to filter these articles. Some of them are a little sneaky. Sometimes they're paid advertisements and you don't even realize it until you kind of really dig deep. And if they're paid advertisement, throw them in the garbage. They don't matter to this ranking. So that is number one thing, right? We have our score of the score within the article. And then we have the frequency, right? Frequency matters. How often do these games come up? Does it come up just one time? Even if it's ranked number one on one person's list and it's never in any other article, does it make the list? Probably not. Now let's talk about the forums and the engagement and people's comments and posts, and that's a can of worms, but I went through that can of worms and I found gold. So you go right in and you say, okay, this is a hot mess because there will be 2,000 comments, right? But the good thing is a lot of these sites already rank them. They rank them and they show you who's upvoted or downvoted. And so you take the ones that have been upvoted and you give them a little bit more values. But there's something interesting about these comments, right? So these comments are sometimes good, sometimes neutral, and sometimes bad. So this is where it's not just a content analysis, it's a sentiment analysis too. Are you kidding me? A sentiment analysis, positive, negative, and neutral. That's right. You got to look at these things. You got to teach the machine to say, go through these comments, find me the positive ones. Awesome, great, unbelievable, so fun, so slept on, hidden gem, like I said, all these things. If you want to talk about the neutral ones, okay, mediocre, didn't finish the game, started it but didn't finish. Or the negative ones, sucks, trash, rotten, money grab, uh, boring, repetitive. You teach it. You teach the machines. You say, okay, magical computer, I need you to go through all these 400,000 comments. Find how many of them are positive, find how many of them are negative, find how many of them are neutral, and then based on those, you look at the ones that have been upvoted. If it's super positive and it's been upvoted a million times, that gets a high score in the engagement rating. It's a good, comprehensive, extensive baseline, and it's going deep. It's going way deep. The analysis is not done because, okay, so we have a score for the articles and a score for the engagements. And then you got to add those two up, right? You got to create the ultimate SOS, slept on score. So here it is, our mega analysis, the deepest, most comprehensive, unbelievable, undeniable, unquestionable ranking of underrated games. This is where your boy over here, he went deep when he should have been asleep. Coming in at number 5, you get hit with the Mad Max from 2015. This is a car combat, vehicular combat, whatever you want to call it. Ride around fighting. It's got a lot of love out there. People love it. Unfortunately, I did a little research. Why is it slept on? Because it was released on the same day as Metal Gear Solid 5. The people love Mad Max. They say it's the funnest game when it comes to car combat out there. So check it out. That's number 4 is an absolute classic to me. Worms Armageddon. This is a game I played. I loved this game growing up, man. It was just too much fun. It is a game that is a multiplayer. You go battle each other, you take turns, and it makes you think and it makes you just enjoy that combat. and and it is a fun game. It's an older game, but it has gained a lot of appreciation and there was a lot of love for it out there in this world. With Worms Armageddon was Secret of Monkey Island. This is another old school game. It's just a fun game. It's a classic adventure game. It's got a lot of funny elements. It's good storytelling. You know, it got great reviews and all these things, but it just never got as big as some of the other games at the time. And you know, so check it out if you get the chance. Secret of Monkey Island. Number 3, coming in hot, super hot. That's right, super hot from 2016. This is a game that's a first-person shooter, and you move around. It's kind of puzzle-like combat experience. It's an interesting game, and it's really underrated. People seem to love it. People seem to absolutely love it. I don't have a lot of experience with it. I just looked at it a little bit because I looked at all these games once I created this list. It looks cool. It's got sort of a minimalist art style. Maybe that kind of makes people a little hesitant to get into it, but you know, give it a whirl. It's not that long of a game. You know, it's a lot of fun. People absolutely love it. You get to number 2, and this is a series. So, like I mentioned, if there was a series that had a lot of different games that kept coming up, it was all kind of sourced into one slept on score. And this was Persona. Persona, the series, particularly number 3 and number 4 kept popping up, but we'll just do the whole series. It's a turn-based RPG. High school students that apparently have to battle supernatural things out there, and there's a little bit of life involved in that too. So that sounds fun and cool, and people seem to really love it. Um, slept on slept on. To number one, the one that came in number one with all of the articles and the engagement. Subnautica. Subnautica is a survival sort of game where you walk around an alien ocean planet, and I guess there's just a lot of mysteries and things to uncover, and I think the consensus, these were interesting because now talking about that sentiment again, a lot of things said, like, it started off, I thought it was going to be boring, it looked like it was not for me, and then I was hooked. And so it seemed like they were negative sentiments, but they were not, they were actually positive. So that, you know
This guy was good.
pat on my back for being on top of that. But that helped this game a lot, and that's the bad boy that came in number one, Subnautica. So check it out. Those are the five. That's the ultimate, comprehensive, undeniable, unquestionable list from the people for the people. And I'm just the messenger. So subscribe to the channel. Don't be a sucker. I appreciate every single one of you. And let's keep on rolling.